Who was King Saul? Part 2. Saul was the first king of Israel. He was often disobedient and followed his own ways instead of God's ways. Obedience is loyally following God's wishes and instructions rather than our own. After yet another one of Saul's willful sins, the prophet Samuel told him, "Obedience is far better than sacrifice. Listening to him, meaning God, is much better than offering the fat of rams. Rebellion is as bad as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as bad as worshiping idols. So because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you from being king." David was secretly chosen to be the next king once Saul had passed away. Saul was so jealous of David that he tried to kill him numerous times. David and Saul's son, Jonathan, became very good friends. David knew Saul wanted to kill him, but Jonathan didn't believe it, so they devised a plan to find out for sure. David would purposely not attend a festival to see how Saul would behave. If Saul didn't react to David's absence, then all was well. But if Saul became angry, it meant he had been planning to kill David. When he saw David wasn't at the festival, Saul became enraged and took his anger out on Jonathan, admitting he did want to kill David. When Jonathan asked Saul what David had done to deserve death, Saul threw a spear at his own son. Jealousy is an ugly emotion. It clouds our thinking and sets us on a destructive path. Saul obsessively hunted David for the rest of his life. Talking to mediums or psychics, people who falsely claim they can speak to dead people, was strictly forbidden in Israel. After banning all mediums, Saul sinned terribly by visiting one for advice about an upcoming battle. The Bible says we should never consult mediums, psychics, or fortune tellers because their information is either fake or worse, it comes from Satan and fallen angels, never God. Rather than be killed by the enemy, Saul purposely fell on his sword on the battlefield, ending his life and his reign, and then David became king. So who was King Saul? Israel's first king, who started out humble, then did things his own way instead of God's way. We can learn from Saul's example by obeying God, guarding our hearts from jealousy, and avoiding fortune tellers. Learn more by watching Who Was King Saul? Part 1. Submit your questions to ChristianQuestions.com, and thank you for liking and subscribing.